Hey everybody, I am really excited to share with you this canvas. I created this mixed media canvas for a challenge blog. It is a unique challenge blog and I will have a link to it down below. I hope you guys check it out because the challenge this month is me, which is, I was so honored when she was telling me about it, but I will have the link down below, so be sure to check it out. I am just showing you that I'm using nothing new today. Everything is, things that I've had in these little bins for a long time or I've opened and just didn't use. I have buttons. I have all sorts of different things just in these little containers that I have around my craft room. And Abby's waving and she's saying hi. She stayed home from school. She recently had surgery, so she was home with me and she was getting bored, and so she wanted to come sit with me. But anyways, again, I'm just showing you some of the products that I'll be using. And at this point, I had an idea, of course, that I wanted to use things that were not brand new. Like I didn't have to open a package to use, besides the watercolor panel. Everything else I've had in these little containers. So I'm actually using some of the packaging from the watercolor panel. And I don't know why I never thought about doing this before. I usually just throw it in the recycle bin and call it a day. I don't have a lot of space to save boxes and every little thing. So if I'm gonna use something, then I have to use it right away or fairly quickly. So I had gotten this paper. I don't even know what it's called, but it's from like the painting area where I got the drywall tape, and that's what I'm using now. It was fairly cheap, so I just wanted to pick it up just to see, just to play around with it on my mixed media projects. All right, and then I'm adding some of the drywall tape, and it's already sticky, but I really needed it to stick well because I'm going to be adding a lot of gesso and sprays on this canvas. So I'm using heavy body gel, yes, that's what it's called, to put everything down for this particular canvas. So I'm adding some lace, and then I have some leftover like computer parts. And everybody, when I had posted a sneak peek on Instagram, everybody was curious to know how I was going to use that. And I don't think you can tell in the end that it's a computer part, but I definitely think it adds cool kind of interest, and it's definitely a great way to recycle things like this. A lot of times in my mixed media project videos, I talk about using recycled things, like things you would find in your garage or in your junk drawer, things like that, but I tend to use things that are new or from a manufacturer. So I definitely wanted to show you guys that I too use things that aren't necessarily from a brand or a manufacturer. I mainly use things that I have opened, like, I have all these metal pieces and things that are left over from other projects and things like that. But I think it just shows that you can just go around your house and, pick up some junk and see where it takes you. It's actually fun to kind of look at things a different way and use things instead of just throwing them in the trash. You can definitely use them on art projects and mixed media projects. So I am just continuing to add different things. So you could definitely start off with gesso, then some modeling paste, stamping, but for this particular one, I wanted to just use just random things, I guess. So again, I used some of the packaging and then some of that paper and the drywall tape, and then some lace that I've had laying around to add a lot of the texture and to build up. And then you want to add all of your embellishments to sort of create a focal point, and that's what I did here. So the star with the heart, and then the little screw or bolt is basically the focal point, and then I'll add my sentiment after. But after that's all glued down and it's kind of dry, it's probably about halfway there, and I'm now adding some crackle paste, and this is my main texture that I really wanted to add to the project. I didn't want to add any paste, or I'm sorry, I didn't want to add any modeling paste or light paste on this sort of on this particular canvas. Cannot talk today. So I'm just going around and adding it like always, some parts thicker in some areas and some parts thinner in other areas. All right, so after the crackle paste dries completely, and I did actually let it dry on its own this time. Normally I speed it up with my heat tool, but again, Abby was home, so I making her lunch and different things like that. So I stepped away, let it dry, and now I am going to add my gesso. So I'm using Prima's heavy gesso. Other brands have heavy gesso as well. I just have the Prima brand. So you could definitely use any brand that you want. And I really wanted to make sure that everything had gesso on it, even the crackle paste and all of the metal pieces, the computer parts, the lace, everything. So I'm going to continue to add the gesso, and I will be right back. I did end up using or adding 2 coats of gesso to the canvas, and now I am just adding some string. I have been doing this quite often actually recently, and I really like the effect it gives and just adds a little interest and texture to my projects. So I'm just kind of wrapping it around, and then I will add some heavy body gel to the back where it will just hold in place. So I add it to the top and the bottom of the canvas. Just think it ties it all together. All right, so now is the fun part. I'm adding color, and this is why the video takes so long. I wanted to keep most all of the process in the video, because I wanted you guys to see that it is really about just laying down some color and then just continuing to build it up, letting it dry, build it up, adding more, just building it. And it takes a while to, well, for me anyways, to get the look that I want. So I am adding first some acrylic paint in soft satin. And I love this color. It's really, really pretty color. And I water it down a little bit just so that it kind of flows a little bit better. And then what I like to do is I flip my projects around, so I'm not only doing it where it's the right way up. So I flip it to the side, upside down, so that I'm making sure that I get all of those areas that you might not see if it's just one way. So I'm going to continue to add the color, and I just add a little bit of the acrylic paint and then a little bit of the water. And then I always have a baby wipe handy, just so that I can blend things out, pick up the color where I don't want it, things like that. And I like baby wipes because they're wet, and it helps, especially when you're using acrylic paint, because acrylic paint dries really, really fast. So it always helps to have a baby wipe, at least for me. So the next color I am adding is a little bit of Plum Preserves, and this is another gorgeous color. And I noticed that I was adding a lot of water, so the gesso was starting to react. So basically what I was doing was wetting and drying at the same time, if that even makes sense. I didn't want the purple to mix in with the gesso, so that's why I was drying it as I was wetting it, I guess, because I wanted it to be a little wet so that it, you know, blended out nicely, but I didn't want it to be too wet so that it mixed in with the gesso. If it mixed together, it just would have made it lighter, and I wanted that real intense purple. And I'm just going to continue to add the color and dab off and add more color, water, and just continue this process. All right, so now I'm going to use the baby wipe and kind of blot on some color, and then I will take another baby wipe and blend out the color. And if you've followed me for a while, you know that I don't like harsh lines, so I like everything just to kind of blend out nicely, and I try my best to do that. And you'll see here that I'm pushing pretty hard, and these watercolor panels can take a lot of sprays and water, and because it is basically a box with watercolor paper on it, so that's really nice to use for these types of projects. So I am taking some Color Bloom spray. This one is, let me grab it really quickly, Iris. This color is Iris. Really pretty color, but in the end I didn't like it, so I cover it up with more of that purple. And this one actually is Impasto paint, and this one is Aubergine, I think is how you say it. So this one has no like shimmer to it. The acrylic paints from Finnabair do have shimmer, and I really like the Impasto paints. They are really heavy bodied acrylic paints. All right, sorry, 1 second, I had to adjust my camera and I didn't end up editing that out for some reason. So I am going to continue to add it kind of behind the different embellishments and layers so that it gives a nice shadow and depth to the project. Again, if you've been following me for a while, then you know that I love to add depth to my projects. So I'm going to continue to add this color, and I will be back. At this point, I was a little worried about my canvas. It wasn't turning out how I would have liked or what I was thinking. So this is where I was either going to sort of fix it or just completely start all over, which in my case, I add gesso, and I probably would have added probably 5 or 6 coats of gesso, and then I can just start from scratch with my colors. But I do end up saving it, and I just continue to add the color. So I'm adding the soft satin, and I will blend it in with the purple, and I'm just kind of going around, and I didn't like the contrast between the white and the purple as much as I was hoping that I would. So that's why I'm adding I guess it's like a pink almost. It's really pretty color, and it really blends out nicely from the purple to the pink and then to the white, and that's more of what I wanted. So I'm going to continue to do this, and I use a baby wipe to kind of blend everything together because it's a little bit wet, and it helps just kind of bring everything together. So now, after that dried a little bit, which doesn't take long at all, I am adding some white gesso, and I'm blotching it on with a baby wipe. And if you've seen videos in the past, I do this often, and it just helps, I think, bring everything together, blend everything a little bit better, and just adds another layer so that I can add even more color, I guess. And I'm going to continue to do this, and I will be back. I felt the canvas needed something else, so I'm taking a Finnabair stamp and some StazOn ink and just stamping randomly all over the canvas. I do it on the sides, on some of the embellishments, and I just think that it added just what I felt it needed. And I do tone down the black a little bit. You'll see in a second. But this stamp is from Finnabair, and it is less than $2. At least in the US. I don't know anywhere else, but I just think it added a nice little touch. So here I am again adding more color, and I said this before that you need to just keep layering until you are satisfied with the look. And sometimes it takes a while. That's why this video is quite long, way longer than any of my other videos. But I did want to show the full process, and I know some people will appreciate it. So I added, that was the Impasto paint, and again, the color is Aubergine. And then I add a little bit of water, and now I'm taking the baby wipe and I am blending it out. And it's really easy to do. You just take it and, kind of dab a little bit, and I'm not wiping it, I'm blotching it and patting it, not wiping it. I hope that it shows in the video that I'm not wiping at all. You don't want to wipe it or else you'll smear the color. You want to dab it on. So I'm taking again more of the soft satin, and this will help blend everything out. I'm just going to continue to add the color. I feel like I've explained quite a bit, and I think I've explained enough to where I hope you guys understand. If not, just leave me a comment down below and I will try to explain it a little bit better. But I just continue to do the same thing, so I will be back shortly. added my quote, and it says, "Trust your crazy ideas," and that definitely is perfect for this canvas. And then I add some white splatters with some watered down gesso, and then I wanted just the edges just to be a little bit more intense purple, so that's why I'm adding a little bit with the baby wipe to the edge there. And again, the baby wipe just helps blend everything out. You could definitely use a brush if you don't want to waste baby wipes. And now I'm adding some splatters with my favorite white splattering technique or product. It is the Ranger Distress Spray in Picket Fence. That is going to complete this canvas. I really love how it turned out, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to check out the challenge blog, and here is a couple more videos you might enjoy. And I hope you guys give this video a thumbs up, and thank you so much for watching. Leave me a comment down below and share this video on social media. I really appreciate it, and I will catch you guys later. Bye.